100 pounds gone. I did it. Now for the scary part. Welcome back to the Lifestyle School podcast, where we talk about weight loss, metabolic health, fasting, mindset, habits, and what it actually looks like to build a healthy lifestyle that lasts. Okay, so I found this weight loss story on the subreddit Lose It by HotHawk956. And there is so much here that I want to talk about with you today. So, quick note, as always, before we get started, this podcast is for educational purposes only. It's not intended as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified provider before making major changes to your diet, fasting, routine, exercise, etc. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share it with a friend, leave a review, like it, subscribe to it, head over to Instagram or Facebook and follow us. Our handle over there is Hope Plaque Coaching. With that, if you want to support the show, head over to my website, www.hopeplaquecoaching.com, and check out our supplement store that we have. You will need a code, and that code is 104567 to get an account started, to create an account. In that store, though, you can get professional grade supplements that are third-party tested for quality and safety. It's what I've used for years, and it's what I recommend to all my clients. Also considering purchasing one of my programs, the Lifestyle School for Weight Loss course or the Hunger Reset Method, or you could join our community, Lifestyle School Daily. Okay. This person lost 100 pounds in 7 months. That is wild. And before I say anything else, there is a massive accomplishment here that I just want to say kudos to them. It takes an incredible amount of consistency, effort, and I don't want to say anything in this video that diminishes what this person accomplished, because I'm on my own weight loss journey, and wow, that's a lot of weight. What makes this story, I think, also really interesting isn't actually the 100-pound weight loss. It's what happened afterwards. And that's what we're really going to dig into today, because this person became incredibly good at losing weight and then realized they didn't know how to stop losing weight. And I think that's a really important lesson here about the difference between successfully losing weight and actually building a healthy body and lifestyle that you know how to maintain. There's a huge difference there. So let's get into this story. So OP says, as of this morning, I have lost 100.2 pounds. I went from a BMI of 36.2 to 21.5 in about 7 months through counting calories obsessively and running like something is chasing me. I really didn't need to lose the last 10 pounds, but at that point, I figured I just hit that magic 100 pounds gone for mental satisfaction. I definitely look a little underweight, and I've been heavily focused on hitting the gym to build muscle lately. But it's time to stop losing it and start gaining it. It's scary because I'm going to have to learn how to eat a lot more. For 7 months, less food has basically always been good. It's been pretty easy for me to slam chicken and veg and watch the scale drop. Now I have to add back in foods that I haven't eaten in a very long time. I think I'll start by going to my favorite restaurant and actually eating the sides. So to everyone out there still on the road, I believe in you. I salute you as I migrate from here on over to beginner fitness subreddit or some community like that. I'll see you all there soon. And then we have a couple updates. Update for some sanity. I do not recommend doing what I did. It almost happened by accident. I got into a big calorie deficit and white knuckled it for about 2 months. After that, eating more became a legitimate challenge. I had a medical professional looking me over every other week who described me as insane, but not dangerous, ... yet. The new danger will come from underfueling, and that's going to be the hardest challenge yet. My brain is so reprogrammed that, quote, less is better, that I'm going to have to count calories religiously in the other direction. That'll mean that I might have to keep things like bread and fats around again, although this time it'll be whole grain bread and avocado rather than sourdough and hamburgers. It's also going to be insanely dangerous if I don't manage to get the calories in. My protein intake has been truly obscene. I think in the low direction is implied there. I'm averaging like 1 gram of protein for every 5 to 7 calories consumed. Sometimes I'm sitting there eating something that isn't even particularly tasty because, well, that's what the ledger called for that day. Okay, I think they're eating a ton of protein. Okay, so much to unpack in this story. I'd be so curious. You guys, I don't know everything. I'm on my own weight loss journey. I've been on it for years, up and down through motherhood, having babies, all of that. Even before that, I would love to hear your thoughts and your reaction to this story. But okay, immediately though, I want to stop at the word obsessively, because here's something I want you to understand. A behavior producing weight loss doesn't automatically mean it's producing health. That is really important. Those are two different questions. Did it work for weight loss? Obviously, they lost 100 pounds in 7 months. 100 pounds in 7 months tells us that this person was extraordinarily successful at creating and maintaining a calorie deficit. Also, they didn't disclose if they were using any medication to do this. I'm suspicious that they probably were. But my next question as a nutrition and health coach is this: what did you have to become in order to achieve that result? I think this is a really good question. I just want to say it again because it's so important. What did you have to become in order to achieve that result, the 100 pounds in 7 months? What behaviors did you practice? What beliefs did you reinforce? What relationship with food did you develop? And what relationship with exercise did you develop? Because you're practicing all of those things while you're losing weight. And eventually the weight loss phase does end, you guys. I know sometimes it's hard to believe when you're on the journey, but the person you became during that process comes with you. And so, I read this part of the story. He said, I really didn't need to lose the last 10 pounds at that point. I figured I just hit that magic 100 pounds gone for mental satisfaction. This is probably one of the most important sentences in the entire post. This person, OP, acknowledges, I did not need to lose the last 10 pounds, but at some point losing 100 pounds became the goal. And I think this is where we have to ask, what was the original goal of OP? Was it health? Was it feeling better? Was it being able to move their body? Was it improving metabolic health? Was it becoming stronger? Was it having more energy? Because somewhere along the way, the scoreboard can become the goal. And I see this happen with weight loss all of the time. I need to see 150 pounds on the scale. I just want to lose 50 pounds. Or I want to get back to the weight I was when I got married or when I graduated high school, whatever that is for you, okay? But the question is why? Because if you're not careful, we can start sacrificing health in pursuit of a number that is originally supposed to represent health. And that is, a little crazy when we actually think about it. The number isn't the goal. The person you're becoming is the goal. And that should always be the goal, the person that you are trying to become. And then another part of the story, Opie says, I definitely look a little underweight, and I've been heavily focused on hitting the gym to build muscle lately. And this is another thing I wish we talked about more. When you're losing weight, I don't just care about how much weight you have lost. I care about what you're losing. That is important because we don't want to indiscriminately make your body smaller. We primarily want to reduce excess body fat while doing what we reasonably can to preserve lean mass. Because we know lean mass, muscle, is your longevity tool, and it's your glucose tank, and it does so many amazing things. It keeps your metabolism firing on a high level. It does so many important things. So that's one of the reasons I'm such a huge advocate for resistance training during weight loss. Don't wait until you've lost all the weight and then say, okay, now I need muscle. We want to be sending your body the message all along that you need this muscle. Prioritize it, keep it. Lifting heavy things, eating adequate protein, sleeping, recovering, walking. Build a metabolically healthy body while you're losing that excess body fat. Because muscle isn't just about how you look. Muscle is metabolically valuable tissue. It's incredibly important for glucose disposal, insulin sensitivity, physical function, and the long-term metabolic health. And especially as you age, OP doesn't say how old they are. I would be scared if this person is in their 50s or 60s and they do something like this, because the older you get, the harder it is to put muscle on. And so sacrificing it on the altar of quick weight loss just doesn't track for me. The next point that I want to talk about is Opie says it's time to stop losing it and start gaining it. And it's scary because I'm going to have to learn how to eat a lot more. For 7 months, less food has basically always been good. Think about what that teaches your brain. Eat less? Good. Scale drops? Good. Hungry but don't eat? Good. Smaller portion? Good. Lower calorie number? Good. Eventually, your brain starts associating less with success. And now this person has reached a point where their body actually needs more nourishment. They say something about looking a little malnourished, actually, in this post. And eating more feels scary. And honestly, I hear this from a lot of people who you count calories and really slash calories to lose weight. They get scared of eating more food. Also, I will say for people who do fasting, it can also be something that they worry about. They're like, oh, I'm not fasting. Like, what's going to happen? I'm actually eating food, every day. What's going to happen? But really it comes down to what have you trained your body to do? This is exactly why with Lifestyle School for Weight Loss, I don't want to teach people how to become successful dieters. I want to teach people how to become people who know how to take really good care of their bodies, because eventually dieting has to end. Taking care of yourself literally ends the day you die. It is a lifelong thing. And that's why I call it Lifestyle School for Weight Loss. OP says, it's been pretty easy for me to just slam chicken and veg and watch the scale drop. Now I have to add back in foods that I haven't eaten in a very long time. And here's where I think traditional dieting often fails people. We've created a weight loss life, and then we have real life, right? It's like these two separate realities that we live in. During weight loss, all you're eating is chicken and veggies. You're tracking everything. You're running. You don't eat bread. You don't eat the sides. You stand to your calories. And then you reach your goal and suddenly you're like, congratulations. Now maintain this for 50 years. And everyone's like, okay, how? How do we do this? And that's why I believe your weight loss strategy should start by teaching you your maintenance strategy. Maybe the details change. Maybe you fast less frequently. Maybe you eat more. Maybe you tolerate more carbohydrates as your insulin sensitivity improves, right? Maybe your training changes. But the fundamental lifestyle should still work. You shouldn't arrive at your goal weight and realize, I have absolutely no idea how to eat anymore. Like, that's kind of a scary thought to be there. And if you've done any amount of dieting in your life, you've probably been there. Opie then said, I do not recommend doing what I did. It almost happened by accident. I got into a big calorie deficit while white knuckling it for about 2 months. After that, eating more became a legitimate challenge. And this was what makes me suspicious that OP is doing like a GLP-1. And I really appreciate that they added this to their update, because now we're getting to the other side of the transformation. And I want to talk about the phrase, I white knuckled it, because we talk about this on the podcast a lot. I don't want you white knuckling your health for the rest of your life. That sounds like a miserable life, honestly. If your entire weight loss strategy is be hungry, ignore it, use more willpower, eat less, exercise more, repeat, you might absolutely lose weight. But what have we solved when it comes to the underlying problems driving the weight gain from the onset? That's why when someone tells me that, they're constantly hungry, I'm interested in figuring out, okay, why are you so hungry? Is it a sleep problem? Is it a hunger hormone problem? Is it an insulin resistance problem? Blood sugar regulation? How are you sleeping? What are you eating? Are you getting enough protein? Are you eating foods that actually trigger satiety? It sounds like this person is eating very low fat, which can make satiety hard. Are you getting fiber? What's happening with your blood sugar, your insulin sensitivity? Where's your stress at? Are you chronically under eating? What types of food are you eating? Is it ultra processed foods? Is it physiological hunger, emotional hunger, habitual eating, or maybe some combination of these three? I don't want hunger to be this monster that you're expected to fight every day until you die. That sounds absolutely awful. And I want to understand what's driving it. And here's another piece of this that is really important to the way I teach weight loss. If someone has significant excess body fat, their body already has an enormous amount of stored energy. That's literally one of the purposes of body fat. So instead of, only asking how can we put fewer calories into the body, I also want to ask, how can we help this body become better at accessing the energy it already has stored? Because remember, 1 pound of body fat has about 3,500 calories worth of energy in it. And that's where metabolic health becomes really important. We want good insulin sensitivity. We want periods of lower insulin. We want movement, muscle, adequate sleep. We want whole foods that support satiety. And we want metabolic flexibility, the ability to move between using glucose and fatty acids for energy as availability and demand change. None of these means calories magically stop mattering. Energy balance still matters, but eat less, move more is an incredibly incomplete explanation for the experience of living inside of a human body. Because hormones, hunger, satiety, sleep, stress, food quality, muscle mass, and metabolic health influence how easy or difficult it is to sustain the behaviors that create that energy deficit. And I don't just want you eating less, I want your physiology working with you as much as possible to make the process of eating less feel as easy as possible. Opie then says, my brain is so reprogrammed that less is better that I'm going to have to count calories religiously in the other direction. So I don't know about you, but I find calorie counting to be the most exhausting task. I'm a busy mom of 4. I got 4 little kids asking me 10 million questions a day. I'm constantly feeding people, cleaning up food, doing all of this stuff. If you've ever counted calories, you know it can be incredibly time consuming and just hard to do, hard to remember to do. It can be tedious. And how sad would it be to lose the weight and then to be like, I still have to keep doing this super tedious habit now to regain some of this weight I lost. Like, it sounds like a nightmare to me. And this is the consequence I was talking about at the beginning of this video. This person became incredibly successful at being a person who loses weight. They were successful. They did a really good job. And now they have to learn how to become a person who maintains and nourishes a healthy body. Those aren't necessarily the same skill set. And this is why identity is such a massive part about what I teach here at Lifestyle School. Your identity cannot simply be, I'm someone who's trying to lose weight. Because what happens when there's no more weight to lose? Instead, you want to be someone who takes really, really good care of their body. You want to be someone who prioritizes their sleep, who builds muscle, who eats nourishing foods most of the time, who pays attention when their body communicates with them. You want to be someone who can celebrate with food without turning that one meal into a 3-week binge. You want to be someone who can adjust as life changes. You want to be someone who's flexible. And that identity still works when the scale doesn't move anymore or doesn't even need to move anymore. Being that type of person, that person who takes such good care of their body. And so Pete then says next, sometimes I'm sitting here eating something that isn't even particularly tasty because, well, that's what the ledger called for that day. Not exactly a fun way to eat. And this is where food has essentially become accounting. I wonder if this person's like an engineer or an accountant. They sound like they have an insane amount of willpower. And I've met very few people like this. But to be clear, I'm not anti-data. I use data all the time. I think it's super interesting. Body weight can be data. Our protein intake can be data. Glucose, our lab values are all data, right? Calories can be useful data, but there's something different between using information and becoming completely ruled by information. And ultimately, what I think is actually way more important than all this data is learning your body and learning to listen to your body. Can you recognize hunger? Can you recognize satiety? Do you know which meals keep you feeling satisfied for 6 hours and which ones have you digging through the pantry 90 minutes later? That is good information. Do you know how poor sleep changes your appetite? Have you taken an account of that? Do you know what happens to your cravings when you're stressed? Have you tuned in to how your body responds to different carbohydrates? Or even can you tell when you need more food because maybe you're training harder, you've increased your training volume? That is a completely different skill than my appetite says I have 327 calories left. I need to go eat something to hit some somewhat arbitrary calorie goal. And so here's what I think we can learn from OP's story. They lost 100 pounds. This is an extraordinary accomplishment, and I don't want to downplay that. But the most interesting part of their story isn't the 100 pounds they lost. It's the fact that after losing it, they realized, I don't know how to stop losing weight without being afraid of food. And I think that exposes one of the biggest problems with the way we approach weight loss. We treat maintenance like something we'll figure out later. I think maintenance should start on day one. Every habit you're practicing right now should make you ask, is there some version of this that I could see myself doing 5 years from now? Not necessarily the same intensity, right? But you probably aren't going to stay in a significant calorie deficit forever. You aren't going to actively lose weight forever. Your fasting protocol may change. Your exercise goals may change. Your nutritional needs will very likely change as the seasons of life change. But the person you're becoming, well, that should be something that you can easily carry forward. So if you're currently trying to lose weight, which if you're tuning into this podcast, you probably are, I want you to remember this. The goal isn't to get really good at losing weight. The goal is to build a body and a lifestyle you know how to maintain. And I don't want you to be spending the next 6 months, a year, or 2 years becoming someone who is extraordinarily good at deprivation. I want you becoming someone who is extraordinarily good at caring for yourself, someone who understands their hunger cues, someone who understands their metabolic health, who builds muscle, who sleeps really well and consistently, who moves, who can go eat at a restaurant and not stress, who can go on vacation and enjoy some fun foods with their families and not have it derail them, who can show up and celebrate Christmas and eat those traditional foods that only come around once a year. And they can enjoy them. You can eat them in moderation and it doesn't derail you or put you in a tailspin. I want you to be someone who has a stressful week and can find their way back the next day or the next week or, when that kind of settles down. I want you to be someone whose entire definition of success isn't dictated by what the scale says tomorrow. I want you to be someone who realizes that weight loss eventually ends. It does. But you still have to live in the body you worked so hard to build, and learning how to take care of that person who built that body. Well, that is where the real transformation happens. And that's why it's so important to become a person who just takes really good care of themselves, no matter what the season, whether it's a weight loss season or a maintenance season. So with that, guys, thank you for being here. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see you on the next one.